Shalom, Kahala, Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham, Racha, Kadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of the Great Millstone who do rule and teach well. Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, Barakatham, peace and blessings, salutations to you sincere Akim, lawyers in this gospel abroad, keeping the faith and testimony of our Lord Yahweh Shai, and to the few sincere Akwath that listen and learn as well. To you I say Shalom. So it's your brother Azariah, back with breaking news, and we here, all right. All this week, brothers have been going into the gold and silver heavy, looking at the markets, and gold is at an all-time high, silver is also at an all-time high, and now you have Trump coming out and making this statement. I'll play the video in a second, but look, starting with the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, man, this prophecy has been, being pumped out nonstop. All right, the tune hasn't changed. All right, the same message has been going out. The Motb, the Motb, the Motb, and you know what I'm saying. We've been watching this thing for years. You see what I'm saying? And now the vision is set to be fulfilled. And you've had brothers, have dreams about this same very moment right here. Okay. There was one brother, Salakia brother, I forget your name, but he had a dream where Trump was pretty much at the podium, and he made the declaration that we switching over to a digital ID or something of that nature. All right, but we gonna play this video right here because the announcement is being made that pretty much we switching over to crypto, and this coincides with many things. There's a potential strike that's gonna happen with Iran, this coming weekend. All right. Of course, we're in the midst of a financial collapse, just all out chaos breaking loose. You got ICE, you know what I'm saying? It's just all kind of stuff going on, so we're in the midst of perilous times as it is written, man. So without further ado, let's check this out.
Many Americans are unaware that behind the scenes, the technical backbone of the financial system is decades out of date, many, many years out of date. You know that. Paul and others are straightening it out, but payments and money transfers are costly and take days or even weeks to clear. Under this bill, the entire ancient system will be eligible for a 21st century upgrade using the state-of-the-art crypto technology. Who would have thought we would have been saying that 2 years after?
All right. So, you saw right there, Trump, he's pretty much saying that we need an upgrade to this current financial system. Okay. And mind you, this was the same guy when he came into office. He said that there would never be cryptocurrency in America ever. Right? That's what he said. Like, that's what he ran on, because people had concerns about the crypto and privacy and certain rights being taken away, or whatever the case. You understand? So there was just a lot of concerns with that. But now this guy, he's coming out, and he's pretty much declaring that we need an upgrade to this system. So what is this all leading to, man? I'm saying this is all leading to the Motb. All right, we on the cusp of this thing. When you get into the comments, all right, this is from Off Grid Desert Farming. Paul does good videos. When you check out the comments, though, they know you won't accept the new system until they finish destroying the old one, and that's what they're doing right now. They're collapsing the old world order, and they're bringing in the new, which is digital. This fifth industrial revolution, in which the internet of bodies, the internet of things, everything being centralized. You get the chip in your head or in your right hand, as it is written. These are the things that are coming forth. So this is to show you that we close to the end. Again, simultaneously, you have many wars that's jumping off, man. Wars and rumors of wars, right? So these are the times Yahweh Shah warned us of, but the end is not yet. There's still, some things that need to happen before the end can come. But we're pretty much here. All right. Welcome to the end times and the preset for the implementation of the coming Motb. All right. So you know what I'm saying? Like, you got people that know, all right, what the Motb is and that it's coming. But for some reason, all right, you got sellout Israelite camps that refuse to speak on this, man. Or if they do speak on it, then they'll beat around the bush. They'll try to, make the Motb everything other than what it clearly is. Okay. When you read Revelation 13, and we can get that, it goes into that none might buy or sell. That has to deal with making transactions a financial system. See? So if you don't get on board, if you don't take the beast mark, you ain't going to be able to buy or sell, in this system, which means that you're going to be ostracized. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be more than likely thrown into a camp. You're going to be ridiculed and demonized by society, okay, because you don't want to go along with the program. And this is why the Lord is preparing us, for this time now, because we're going to have to separate completely from this world, and the ridicule and the scoffing and the harsh words we endure now, that's built us up for the times to come. Because now, we're cold to this world. We don't give a damn what these people think, okay? And that's going to be a different spirit you're going to have on you in the times to come. Because while the world conforms to the image of the beast, we're going to be looked at as the black sheep. I mean, shit, we already are. But how much more then? All right? And that's going to be how Esau, he's going to weed out the elect. All right? Because only the elect, those that have the testimony of Yahweh Basham Shai, are not going to, bow the knee to the image of Baal, are not going to take this man's mark. All right? Everybody else, they're going to fall in line. Okay, once the food is taken away, once the wars, jump off, once Esau comes down heavy with the sword, that great wrath, people going to fall in line. But the Lord is going to put a spirit, on particular men, all right, to not, bow down to this system and even be willing to give their lives if need be, all right? M.K. Johnson says this administration taking over everything. If they can't get us one way, they'll get us another. All he has to do now is sprout horns. Right? You know what I'm saying? Look, people, it's obvious to see now, man. Like, there's no way that you can't see it. You know what I'm saying? There's no way that you can't see it. It's clearly obvious. And furthermore, on top of it being obvious, these devils have came out how many times and let it be known what it is. Yuval Harari. We must have surveillance under the skin. Humans have now become hackable animals. Right? They talking about the crypto. They talking about using robots to implant chips in people's heads at rapid speed. You see? So what else could the Motb be other than the chip? Right? What else could this new beast system, what else could it be other than a digital blockchain system in which everything is going to be tracked, traced, and controlled by the central bankers? All right. What else could it be? Aaron Russo, all right, years ago, in that one interview he did about Nick Rockefeller, okay, he told you that the mark is the chip, and that's the ultimate goal for the elites, all right, to control everything. That's the ultimate form of control. You see? What's it say in the Bible? That the Antichrist will usher in the mark of the beast, which these Christians, they don't understand, all right, because they, their doctrine is that there's one Antichrist, which no, all right, there's many Antichrists, okay? If you're a Muslim, if you pray against the prophecies, if you're praying for America to be saved, then you're an antichrist, man. Okay? If you're, if you subscribe to any other belief other than the Holy Scriptures, then you're an anti-Messiah. All right, point blank, period. 2/3 of our people are anti-Christ or anti-Hamashiach. Okay, because they don't believe and they buck up against the teachings of Yahweh Bashmiel Shai, and they buck up against his men. You know, and even if you want to say, okay, what I'm saying, because there's also a common doctrine now that, Donald Trump, DJT, that he's the Antichrist. So it's okay. Some people even say Obama, all right, and it's bugged out. That is, well, let's just run with that. Let's just say that DJT is the Antichrist. Well, what about Klaus Schwab? What about Yuval Harari? What about BG? Okay. What about what's his name? Larry Fink. Okay, all these devils, man. All these devils that are in high positions that control all this shit. What about them? You could make a strong case that they're the Antichrist too. But see, it's a spirit, being an Antichrist is a spirit, man. And the scriptures say that there even be many Antichrists. All right. So it's not just one man, but, overall, those that are in power, they are all, anti-Hamashiach. But yes, it is true that they are going to usher in the Motb. Well, he just announced it, not to mention, he mentioned in the first day he was in office also. How much more proof does everybody need that he's Antichrist when you're laying on a chopping block? All right, so that's pretty much, what you see going on there. All right? Oh, people have no idea what's coming. I mentioned this stuff to family and neighbors, and they look at me like I'm crazy. Okay? Welcome to the club, bro. You know what I'm saying? But hey, look, people like that, you got to leave them be. People like that, you can't do nothing for them, man, because ultimately the Most High has blinded them. Okay, they don't want to see the truth. That's why we're concerned with the elect, right? You can't save everybody, man. Everybody can't go. They don't know I'm prepared. I just pick their brains and they're completely lost. Because of idiots like them, this country is finished. You know what I'm saying? You pretty much get the point, man. People see, all right, where this is going. But yeah, the announcement has been made, and this comes on the cusp of, again, a potential bombing this weekend of Iran. So all these things, and once that bombing of Iran happens, gold is going to skyrocket even higher than what it is now. You know what I'm saying? So that's going to further accelerate the crash of this, B system and moving into the crypto. So that, you know what I'm saying? This announcement is all very convenient and strategic. Okay. Then, all right, this is the Genius Act. You know what I'm saying? This is what Trump signed into law, last year. All right, put this on D&D. All right, this is what Trump signed into law, last year. This is it's not a super long video, but we can just play a portion of it so you can get the just the basic understanding of what this thing is all about. But this Genius Act, as well as the Big Beautiful Bill, it was all designed to replace this current system. All right, the Genius Act is the upgrade that he's talking about. Okay, in the Genius Act, the way it is structured and framed, it's intended to collapse this current monetary system. And that's why all these tariffs are being put in place, man, to cripple the world market. See, everything these devils are doing, it's all to forward the agenda, all right? So you guys see what's going on. But yeah, check this out.
Let me explain to you as fast as I can why the Genius Act is going to cause the collapse of the US dollar as it currently stands and why the Clarity Act is not doing it any better. The Genius Act allows financial institutions, banks and non-banks included, to create a digitized US dollar coin or a USDC known as a stable coin. What makes it stable is that there is federal assets or US dollars backing the coin itself, creating the collateral that makes it hold value. The thing is, though, is that only banks have issues or have access to federal assets beyond money. Only banks can use the overnight reserve repo, and only banks can use the long-term Fed interest rate. This interest rate is also accessible in other ways, however, mostly and most simply through treasury bonds. The thing about treasury bonds is that that is a loan to the government, and the government can only commit to repaying a certain amount of treasury bonds at the specific interest rate. This is important. Remember this for later. Okay, so now we have non-bank financial institutions. The current ones that have adopted so far are PayPal, Klarna, Western Union, companies we're mostly familiar with, either in the short term, long term memory, whatever. We've heard of all of them. Okay, so what's happening ultimately is they're choosing to issue stable coins. And the key caveat of the Genius Act is that stablecoin issuers cannot pay interest or rewards to the holders of these coins, which means that all of these institutions are over incentivized to take their cash reserves and to convert them to digitized assets, which is also allowed in the Stablecoin Act. So what that means is they get an extra 4 point something interest return on the money that they would have just held normally. That is appetizing to any company, especially any company with shareholders, because
And see, brothers, all right, starting with the L's and apostles, man, brothers have been saying this, going back years, man, that this would be the case. All right, that once these devils are ready to implement the system, they would incentivize people to turn over their fiat currency into digital assets, okay, into the stable coin. That's what you see right now. They're doing it with the banks, but they're also going to do it with the average American. Okay, this is how they're going to get people on board to, transfer over into this system. All right, because once the money becomes, once this fiat dollar becomes worthless, people are going to want to save their money. So they're going to come out and say, well, for every dollar that you have in the bank, we'll give you, 10 stable coins or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So that's going to seem like a good deal to people because in their mind, they're really not going to be losing, and, they'll be getting in on a new wave. You see what I'm saying? So that's how these devils are going to coerce you into this B system, into taking the chip. You see what I'm saying?
as soon as those shareholders figure out that this is a thing, they're going to say, hey, that guy's doing it. Why aren't you doing it? I want to make that return. Okay, here we are. So because of the cascade of businesses adopting stable coins into their portfolios or into their financial systems, what that means is treasury bills, because those are the most accessible, and there's a lot more non-bank financial institutions than there are bank financial institutions. They're going to buy a bunch of treasury bills. Here's the thing. The Trump administration is pressuring the Fed to lower the interest rate when inflation is super high. And what that means is if your interest rate is below inflation, the interest rate is, one, not doing anything to correct inflation, which is super important. However, two, what it means is that the interest rate on a loan that you take, especially something like a T-bill, is not going to keep up with the inflation rate, which also means that nobody is going to want to buy your stupid T-bill. And if your stupid T-bill is what's backing your stable coin, and your T-bill can't be sold to maintain the balance of your stable coin because it needs to be a 1-to-1 ratio, then your stable coin becomes a liquid. And once your token, your stable coin, is a liquid, the safest thing to do is to not fire sale your T-bills to give somebody something like, 60 cents on the dollar. The safest thing to do, since you're already on crypto rails, is to roll them into major cryptocurrencies, which is probably going to be Ethereum. It might be Solana. It could be Bitcoin, but Bitcoin isn't a programmable chain, so it's not a really easy transition to make. All of these stable coins are not on Bitcoin because the network can't support it. Okay, so you can see how this cascade effect works. Because if all those T-bills become a liquid and the interest rate is lower than the actual rate of inflation, now we don't have a way to catch up because the Fed has lost the ability to actually effectively control the inflation rate. All of the money that used to be held in banks is now held in stable coins that became a liquid and got converted into crypto. And now the only thing that people are being paid with, or the only people that are being paid with US dollars, are people on government salaries and people paying their taxes, which is not that much revenue from the government in the first place. The act of issuing these stablecoins is called seigniorage. And the reason seigniorage is important for the Fed to maintain and for the government to maintain is because it's a literal profit mechanism. Yes, they are printing money, but they're allowed to print money because they use their military might to back those dollars.
Exactly. Okay, and that's how the U.S. dollar has been propped up for all these years. Because mind you, the U.S. dollar came off the gold standard back in 1971, and since then they've what I'm saying, for the whole of America's history they've been at nonstop war, but the wars after World War II didn't stop either because they had to enforce that war reserve standard on the world, on the nations through that military might. So the dollar has been worthless, man. You know what I'm saying? Like America's pretty much been going around to these nations and they've been bullying them into using the dollar to make transactions. That's how, that's pretty much how it's been since the Bretton Woods Agreement, post World War II. Okay, and that's why you see that any nation that's talks about getting off of the dollar, not trading in the dollar. All right, prime examples: Muammar Gaddafi in Libya. He wanted to make an African currency that all African nations could use, um, on a you know pretty much like a blockchain system, but like an early version of it. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with Saddam Hussein. They wanted to take, um uh they didn't want to trade the oil in US dollars no more. Okay, and that's why they came against him, demonized him and took him out. You know what I'm saying? Osama bin Laden, they labeled him a terrorist leader. Okay, he wanted to do the same thing. All right. So anytime a nation tried to get away from using the dollar, what happens? America goes in and they use that military might to enforce. All right. So what she's saying is spot on, and she said a whole lot. She said a whole lot of financial talk, but the point is, um, the stable coin, okay, which is really a cryptocurrency. That's what's going to replace this dollar. It's not necessarily going to be like something new. It's still going to work on the same platform, but it's going to be a digital version of the US dollar, if that makes sense. All right. And yeah, that's why all nations are going to have to get down with this system, man. But, that's what the Genius Act pretty much is all about. Okay. And yeah, check this out as well, because in the midst of this government shutdown, which I believe now they've made a deal to keep the government open, but this is also, all right, being passed through. So check it out. Crypto bill advances in Senate committee despite Democrats Trump. All right. So this crypto bill, all right, U.S. senators in the Agriculture Committee advanced crypto market structure legislation. So now, they're passing legislation through the Senate, all right, to regulate the crypto market, all right, along agriculture, which had to deal with farming and things like that, you know, livestock, whatever. So even agriculture farmers, they're gonna have to get down with this system. Listen, everybody's gonna have to get down with this, man. That's why it says that none might buy or sell save he that had the mark. This is what's coming. Republicans voted to advance the bill, which details rules for the trading of so-called digital commodities and includes protections for developers of decentralized financial protocols. In order to protect American consumers, onshore innovation, and allow U.S. businesses to continue to grow and prosper, we must grant the CFTC regulatory authority over the spot market trading of digital commodities. All right. Advancing this bill is the first step, and there are many steps to come in achieving those goals, you see? So this is only the beginning. All right. This is only the beginning of them moving into this beast system. So you got to know what's coming, and you got to be ready in the spirit to walk away from this world because it's coming. All right. that hour of temptation is coming, man. All right, we're in the midst of it right now. All right, when you get Revelation, the 3rd chapter, and verse 10, and it reads, "Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth." Okay, so this hour of temptation where you're going to be tempted with the mark, you're going to be tempted with bowing the knee to the image of Baal, right? You're going to be tempted by being thrown into prison, all right? Concentration camps, you know what I'm saying? Some brothers are going to be beheaded, right? The scriptures tell you these things, man. These are all temptations. These are all trials that the true believers are going to have to go through. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that every single last elect, member is gonna, go through these things, but some will, because it is written. All right, but either way, whatever your lot is, you know what I'm saying, you have to be ready in the spirit and have, Yahweh Bashmo Shah, the spirit with you to be able to endure when these things come. You see? But this thing is coming upon all the earth. Okay, everyone gonna be tried, man. You know what I'm saying? To those that are faithful, even down to those that are not faithful. You know what I'm saying? Because, even those that trust in this world, their faith in this world is going to be tested. You know what I'm saying? And majority of people you see walking around out here, they going to take the chip. Right? That's just what it is. Majority of your family members, they going to take the chip. All right? Especially those that you may have told about the truth and they rejected it. They going to take the chip, man. Because, why wouldn't they? What's going to stop them from taking it? They, what I'm saying? They don't believe in the prophecies. The Lord is not dealing with them in the spirit. So they're operating off of the flesh. And the flesh is not going to profit you anything in these times to come. All right? The scripture, it is written that the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. So if you're going to so call yourself relying on the flesh and your own willpower to overcome the temptation of this beast system, then you're going to fail 10 times out of 10. All right? This is not going to happen. Okay? Let's get that in the NLT. Revelation 3 and 10 in the NLT. "Because you have obeyed my command to persevere, I will protect you from the great time of testing that will come upon the whole world to test those who belong to this world." All right? So that's what's coming upon this earth, the great time of testing. Okay, and guess what? Yahweh Bashmel Shai has put the spirit on these devils, you know what I'm saying, to bring about this temptation. So, as we say, man, it's not Esau that you should fear. It's Yahweh Bashmel Shai, man. Fear the Lord. Because only the Lord has the power to keep you from this hour of temptation and make sure that you stand firm. All right? Revelation 13 and verse 16, because this is what's coming. All right, this is what it's all. This is the end goal, the end agenda of what these devils want to do. All right. So it says here, Revelation 13 and 16 in the NLT. "He required everyone, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to be given a mark on the right hand or on the forehead." It's really supposed to be in the right hand or in the forehead, because this mark is going to go inside of you, okay? And that's that Neuralink, and the RFID micro C hip that's going to go in your right hand, your left hand, or wherever people going to get it at. But the point is, it's going to go inside you. All right, and we know that, based on the fact of, to reference Yuval Harari again, we must have surveillance underneath the skin. And that's how they're going to do it. Klaus Schwab told you, back in 2017, that you all will have implants, okay? So we know that this is going to be a thing that's going to go inside of your body. That's how they're going to be able to surveil you underneath the skin, to hack into you. Understand? on the right hand or on the forehead, and no one could buy or sell anything without that mark, which was either the name of the beast or the number representing his name. Okay, so hey, this vision is hastily coming forth. Okay, time is very very short, man. All right, Habakkuk second chapter. Let's close out on this one. Habakkuk 2, and we'll start at top, verse 1. I will climb up to my watchtower and stand at my guard spot, at my guard post. There I will wait to see what the Lord says and how he will answer my complaint. Then the Lord said to me, write my answer plainly on tables so that a runner can carry the correct message to others. This vision is for a future time, this is the time now that we're into where these things are coming forth. It describes the end, and it will be fulfilled. If it seems slow in coming, wait patiently, for it will surely take place. It will not be delayed. And we see these things are surely taking place. They're not being delayed no more. All right? We're in the midst of an economic collapse and changing over into this beast system, man. This is where we at. The scriptures are being fulfilled. All right? So that's pretty much the the point right there. Just wanted to bring that out. I'm super tired, so I'm about to get some sleep, man. But spirit hit me, to go into that. So Lord willing, you Aki Manakwath are edified, and closing out, call halal, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Rakak and until next time, Lord willing, shalom to the elect, Kwam Yasha Allah, Wa Baba Ball, Shalom.